Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Godwin Sunday. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. You can download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcasts. And now to the news. The All Progressive Congress has held its 2025 National Summit in a ground style at the banquet hall of the Presidential Villa in Abuja, where President Tinubu endorsed the party members as sole candidate for the 2027 presidential election. Our correspondent was there and a report. The 2025 APC National Summit with the theme Renewed Hope Agenda. The journey so far was well attended by party members across the country. The summit aimed to foster conversations around the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and assess the renewed hope vision in the last 2 years. President Bola Tinubu thanked participants and party members and urged them to remain resolute and committed to nation building and optimistic as better days are still ahead.
The Abuja-Kaduna Zaria-Kano Road, the dualization of Abuja-Lokoja-Bini Highway, the Enugu-Onitsha Highway, and the second Niger Bridge access routes, and other strategic transport corridors are not just improving connectivity, they are catalyzing commerce and opening up regional markets. The Renewed Hope administration has also introduced wide-ranging tax reforms aimed at broadening the tax base, improving compliance, and simplifying the framework. The 4 tax bills currently under consideration show a coordinated effort to align fiscal policy with the growth ambitions of the country.
Speaking during the summit, the APC Governors Forum, Senators and National Working Committee seized the opportunity to endorse President Bola Tinubu for a second term.
These commitments have formed the cornerstone of our policy thrust, yielding numerous, bold interventions that have reshaped Nigeria's fiscal foundations and positioned the country for sustainable progress.
Walk the talk. In totality, what they are saying that even though you met a foamy economy, even though you met over 30 trillion debt, you have paid over 8 trillion, and nobody knows about that. Money that you would have used to amplify most of your programs. The Renewed Hope agenda is still on course. And evidently, from the reports we get, from even the World Bank, the IMF, talking about the fact that Nigeria has moved from B- to B. That is IMF, giving you rating. And the fact that you have been able to improve the economy, there's growth despite the world's recession.
The moment demands realism and ambition in equal measure. We must neither rest on laurels nor succumb to complacency. Instead, this is the time to deepen our outreach, sharpen our messaging, and forge an unbreakable bond between the APC and the people it serves. By selling our record relentlessly and listening attentively, we will carry the Renewed Hope agenda forward in the next electoral cycle. I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever that come 2027, Mr. President and our party will secure a resounding mandate that confirms our capacity to deliver on the promise of a prosperous Nigeria.
For many, the conversation around 2027 elections seemed very untimely, but not for the APC with our early preparations. Will this translate to positive outing? Only time will tell. Godwin Sunday, reporting for Global Television News. Osun East senatorial leaders of the People's Democratic Party have thrown their weight behind President Bola Tinubu and Governor Ademola Adeleke as their preferred presidential and governorship candidates. This was contained in a statement released by the senatorial leader Akindele Famuyide at the end of its monthly meeting. Delegates to the 13th National Delegates Conference of the Forum of State Independent Electoral Commission of Nigeria in Jos, Plateau State, have rejected calls for the scrapping of the state independent electoral commissions. The European Union says they demanded for the reform of the state electoral bodies saddled with the responsibility of conducting local government elections. The conference is geared towards analyzing challenges facing state independent electoral commissions and proposing workable solutions to strengthen local elections administrations. The Senate and Borno State Governor Babangana Zulum have urged President Bola Tinubu to take urgent measures against renewed terrorist attack in the northeastern part of Nigeria. Zulum advised the president to rely more on the professional judgment of the military rather than political voices in the fight against Boko Haram. The Senate, on its part, called for concerted action against the terrorists and also recommended the establishment of a military base in the Hong local government area of Adamawa State. The federal government has instituted a suit against Natasha Okpoti-Uduaghan, the suspended senator representing Kogi Central, over alleged defamatory remarks made on live television. The suit filed before a Federal Capital Territory High Court has Okpoti-Uduaghan as a sole defendant. The government accused the senator of making imputation knowing or having reason to believe that such imputation will harm the reputation of a person, citing Section 391 of the Penal Code, Cap 89, Laws of the Federation, 1990. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has warned that security and health challenges facing the nation's capital require urgent national intervention. Wike, while speaking during the budget defense before the Senate, emphasized that the FCT role as a seat of government and host to diplomatic missions demanded security approach. Our correspondent Ramsey Agbo completes the story.
In response to Ndume's proposal of establishing an internally displaced persons IDP camp within the FCT, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, warned against social welfare programs for vulnerable groups, as this will facilitate insurgent groups. He gave the warning in the context of the FCT's 2025 budget defense, where Wike sought approval for a 1.78 trillion naira budget focused on capital projects and infrastructure.
It's about the indigent or the displaced persons roaming in Abuja. It is not enough as Nigerians driving them, arresting them. What you need to do is to do what the Kano State government did as far back as in the 70s. That is picking the indigents, if you know, and you have a camp where you can feed and train them so that they will be off the street. If you have something like that already, that's fine. But it's very important because before somebody comes to the street to beg, it means he has nothing to eat. So if we can have a camp that will provide them such facilities, train them and then take them off the street through that transitional method, is better.
The way Kano, the way Rivers, the way Sokoto, the way Ondo will not be the same way that will happen in the FCT. Those you are talking about, they are not indigenous. They are not indigenous. People come from everywhere to just talk about the whole of FCT. And you are saying that because we should that people, if they have work, it's not correct. That those who believe that they will continue to beg. That is the truth of the matter. And we'll tell ourselves a simple truth. As a city like this, with the Federal Capital Territory, where you have all the international bodies where they reside, it will be difficult for you to follow that kind of pattern. And we don't want for us to say, let's keep them social areas and then train them for this job and that. The FCT cannot handle that.
Wike's caution reflects broader security challenges in the region as Boko Haram insurgent attacks have been increasing in Nigeria, particularly in the northeast. Ramsey Enoch Agbo reporting for Global TV News.
The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has launched the 2025 National Preparedness and Response Campaign to mitigate the impact of flooding on communities in Bauchi State. Speaking during the launching of the campaign, the Deputy Director of General Services, NEMA, Bitrus Samuel, said Bauchi is one of the states with the highest risk of flooding, hence the sensitization by the agency. Samuel stated that the campaign by agency is a strategic plan for preparedness and response to flooding in Nigeria in response to an early information by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, says the Nigerian Army under his leadership would in the next coming weeks induct more combat enablers into its operations in order to end the menace of Boko Haram, ISWAP, banditry, kidnappings and other forms of criminalities bedeviling the nation. Oluyede disclosed this at the end of a three-day meeting of the 2025 COAS First Biannual Conference, which took place at the Command Guest House at Maimalari Cantonment in Maiduguri, Borno State capital. The event was attended by top Army brass, including Major General, Brigadier Generals, commanding officers and head of various army formations across the country. In response to the looming food security crisis in Nigeria and Benue State, the Tiv Area Traditional Council has issued an ultimatum to the headers operating in Tiv-land to vacate all Tiv territories by the end of May 2025. The directive was announced following an emergency meeting held at the Tiv Palace in Boko, Benue State. The meeting was chaired by the Tor Tiv, His Royal Majesty Otiviri Professor James Otese Ayase, and attended by all graded traditional rulers of the Tiv Kingdom. The council cited the persistent attack and killings of farmers by herders as primary cause of halted agricultural activities across several local governments in the state, which include Kwande, Katsina Ala, Logo, Ukum, Guma, Makodi, Gwa West, Gwa East, and Buruku. You are watching the live broadcast of a News Cycle. When News Cycle returns, U.S. sanctions Sudan over chemical weapons use. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Following the suspension of the Rivers State House of Assembly, President Bola Tinubu has officially submitted the 2025 appropriation bill of the state to the National Assembly for consideration. In a letter addressed to the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Obot Akpabio, the proposed budget totals 1.481 trillion naira, with major allocations aimed at revitalizing key sectors. Our correspondent, Uyi Agbomo Fuegbe, reports.
List with a proposed 324 billion naira, while the health sector is allocated 106 billion naira, including 5 billion naira earmarked for free malaria drugs.
The appropriation bill for the year 2025 is in the total sum of 1,481 billion, wherein the sum of 324 billion is for infrastructure, both ongoing and new projects, while the sum of 166 billion is for the health sector, including 5 billion for free drugs for treatment of malaria and other common ailments.
Education sector is set to receive 75.6 billion naira, while 31.4 billion naira is proposed for agricultural development. In a formal communication to the National Assembly, President Tinubu is asking the Senate for an expeditious consideration.
Herewith, the 2025 appropriation bill for Rivers State for consideration of the Senate. The distinguished Senate may wish to recall that Rivers State is currently under emergency rule, which was proclaimed and duly gazetted in March 2025. Regulation 4, subsection 2F of the Emergency Rule 2025 requires authorization for expenditure from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of Rivers State for its activities. In the absence of the State Assembly, it's expected that the National Assembly acts on that behalf. Hence, the request for the approval of the Senate for the Rivers State Government 2025 Appropriation Bill.
The Senate has referred the bill to its ad hoc committee on emergency rule with instructions to review the proposal and report back to the chamber as soon as possible. Uyi Agmofwegbe reporting for Global Television News.
Nigeria is on the verge of paying another $100 million to the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development to aid its developmental projects across the sub-region. The bank's president, Dr. George Donka, disclosed this during an interactive session with heads of ECOWAS institutions and specialized agencies at the ongoing First Ordinary Section of ECOWAS Parliament in Abuja. The interactive section was to enable the bank to present its progress report and vision for regional integration, economic transformation, and sustainable development. On the foreign scene, the Democratic Republic of Congo's Senate has stripped former President Joseph Kabila of his immunity, paving the way for his prosecution over his alleged backing of rebels in the east. Authorities have accused him of treason and war crimes, saying there was a substantial body of documents, testimony, and materials facts linking Kabila to the M23 armed group, which has taken control of several towns in the mineral-rich east. Kabila, 53 years of age, has not commented on the accusation, but has in the past denied any connection with the insurgents. The U.S. will impose new sanctions on Sudan after finding it used chemical weapons last year in the ongoing civil war against the Rapid Support Forces, the State Department has said. A statement from the spokesperson, Tammy Bruce, says U.S. exports to the country will be restricted and financial borrowing limits put in place from 6th of June. A Sudanese government spokesperson described the accusation as baseless claim with no supporting evidence. 52 African countries have endorsed the request by Nigeria to host the African Parliament in Abuja come 2026. This follows a request for the hosting rights by Senator Jimo Ibrahim, Nigerian's representative at the executive meeting of the African Parliament in Casablanca, Morocco.
Nigeria is interested in hosting this in hosting the 85 session. As a matter of fact, Nigeria is also committed to this all-important Morocco gas project. And given that, Madam Speaker, I want to say planning that we will very glad to have the Senate President.
The African Parliament is the legislative body of the African Union, which exercises oversight and has advisory and consultative power. The Trump administration has revoked Harvard University, one of America's most prestigious academic institution, of its authority to enroll international students following a long-standing dispute over campus policies. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security, led by Secretary Kristi Noem, announced the termination of 2 grants to Harvard University totaling over $2.7 million. These grants were part of the federal funding initiative aimed at various research and public health programs. In sports, Team Bayelsa is still maintaining its lead on the medal table at the ongoing National Sport Festival in Ogun State. Bayelsa garnered 30 gold, 12 silver and 13 bronze medals 5 days into the festival to maintain a comfortable lead. The official medal table of the sporting event tagged Gateway Games 2024 indicated that Delta is second with 21 gold, 9 silver and 26 bronze medals. Newcastle United manager Eddie Howell has admitted it would be a huge disappointment if his side failed to secure qualifications for the Champions League as they prepare for their final Premier League fixture of the season against Everton on Sunday. Howell's team knows that a victory at St. James Park would effectively guarantee a top 5 finish. Currently fourth in the table on 66 points, Newcastle sit ahead of Chelsea and Aston Villa on goal difference, with 7th place Nottingham Forest a further point behind. The long-standing rivalry between African star Quadri Aruna and South African maestro Ugo Kaderana will be reignited at the 2025 ITTF World Championship in Doha. The 2 continental giants are set to meet in the 4th round of the men's single at Lusail Arena. That's it on Global TV News Cycle. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. You can download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcasts. I am Godwin Sunday. Thank you for watching.